Okay, folks, this is the audio file from yesterday's visit to Perlman Clinic, suite number 320. Okay, I have a hard time remembering how to pronounce that doctor's name. It's kind of funky. Anyways, you can see the date up here, 6/27/2025, and the file started at 10:05 a.m. The file length is 11 hours, 59 minutes exactly. Yeah, that's when I stopped it last night, once I got back to my hiking area. And I took the tape recorder out of the hold mode, and that allowed me to see the countdown of where it was at by the amount of time. And so I remembered stopping it at exactly 59 minutes. So if I go here and do this, and then press this, it allows you to show that it was started at 10:05 a.m. 5/27, May 27, 2025. Okay, so this is the audio file. Then I go over here, and it allows me to scroll down here to file information, and it brings me back to where I originally was. Now, the reason why I'm showing this is because, and by the way, I also have a MTS Pronto card, MTS trolley receipt that I bought yesterday, where even its purchase aspects of it should be on the audio file, because I believe that trolley machine that you use to put money on your Pronto trolley card, where you're paying for your trolley fare, I think that machine makes noises. Plus, I got the receipt. So it shows that I bought the trolley card, I believe, at UTC Mall. And you take the trolley, the Blue Line, 2 stops to UCSD Health Center or UCSD Medical Health Center. That's where I got off at. So that's another way to prove where I was headed to, or at least at, when the thing was bought. Now it's mostly irrelevant, but it's just another tidbit of information. So this audio file is exactly 11 minutes and 59 seconds long. Oh, and by the way, I'm going to make a statement here. Now, you're not going to understand it. You're not really not going to stand pretty much any part of it, but I'm going to make it anyways for my own reference. What you need to understand here, folks, well, that doesn't even apply because you're not going to understand it, but that's just the way I talk, so it just came out that way. Consider this. Now, you're not going to understand this, but again, remember, I'm making this statement for the sake of memory references. It's a notation I'm making for myself. When I was in that doctor's office yesterday, after I seen the doctor, and I think it was before his assistant came back in. I got up in order to put the things that I was given into my backpack, paperwork, okay, medical paperwork, okay, like referrals for X-rays and a referral to an ENT and stuff like that. So I got up, put that stuff in my backpack, and I turned around, and then I noticed that suddenly my head turned, and there was a picture on a wall, okay, and I'm not going to say which was number 1 and which one was number 2, and there's one of these 2 things that I'm not going to verbalize, okay, but the second one said, let's just put it to you this way, 4 letters that have to do with so what I'm going to do is I'm going to pronunciate the letters, but not in the correct sequence. And trust me, I'm totally aware you're not understanding this. It's okay. Just take what I state concerning this situation and set it aside mentally. These statements are being made for me. Okay? So I got to say things carefully, and if you knew why, you'd completely understand. So let's just say, HADH. Okay? Then the other one I'm going to pronunciate in inverted sections. So I'm going to say TIONDADCI. Now, neither one of those things have to do with me. Neither one of them have to do with me. But what you got to understand, and again, remember, that's just the way I talk. Okay, when I went to go say what you got to understand, is that there's 3 separate PDF files that are extremely relevant. Okay, and is there information in at least one of these PDF files? Okay, that would talk about control of head movement. Okay, and then in any related article and or link within any one of these PDF files that would talk about the eye gaze tracker. Now that would do with the manipulation of, literally, and I know this is going to sound nuts crazy to you because you don't have any other detailed information that would allow you to see how anything like this would be possible. Trust me. Okay, when you see some information that's going to be discussed within a video series I'm going to be making in the pretty near future, you'll see some information that's going to help you understand these last couple statements a lot easier. You'll see it, trust me. Okay, so let's just put it to you this way. If there's any type of non-consensual biomedical devices that can be put in a human being, especially if they are working in concert with other integrated devices, these types of devices are reported in scientific material, okay, where involuntary head movement can occur, absolutely. It's got to do with paralysis, okay, and involuntary eye movement. Now, in these articles, it will talk about how these types of movements are intentionally induced, more than likely through, at least when it comes to the head movement, it would have to do with choreographed electrophysiological signals from myoelectric implanted in electrodes. Okay? And then the computer on their end identifies the electrophysiological signals dedicated to those movements and then can turn around and stimulate it so that the head can turn left, right, up, and down involuntarily. Again, these types of things are used for specific types of paralysis. Okay? Now, as far as the eye movement thing go, that would be connected to a related article within that type of article. Okay, and that would be something that would more than likely would be easily done through specific types of cuff electrodes that would be placed in either a nerve or artery or a vein. I just forgot which one, so bear with me. That would allow them to be able to control the actual movement of the eye, because the cuff electrode would send a specific amount of predetermined electrical stimulation. So a predetermined knowledge of the amount of electrical stimulation sent to the specific type of cuff electrode in, let's just say it's an artery or vein, has already been the predetermined amount of electrical stimulation to that cuff electrode in that particular vein and or artery and or nerve would allow them to know what is needed in order to stimulate and control the eye movement. Eye movement of left down, right, up down, left or right. So if a person is in an office that the host of the crime, okay, knows that person, so in other words, if you got a victim going to a doctor's office for an appointment and the crime itself knows you're going there, okay, because these sick little demented filth who host this crime, they get up into every aspect of your life, and there's many ways they can predetermine where you're going. If you're looking up where a doctor's office is at, okay, on the internet, cyber surveillance there through them. If you're making a phone call, okay, to that doctor's office or to that doctor's office, to a general number that then routes you to that doctor's office call center, which is responsible for making the doctor appointment, then they're monitoring that. They might also be intentionally bottlenecking you to that specific doctor's office by preventing you from finding other doctors, because your calls to other doctors are being intentionally hanged up on as a result of them. Yeah, when you go to call them, they disconnect the call. Now, shit like this is already all over the internet, because I trust me when I say, folks, I have seen information like this over the years on many dates. without specifically looking for that type of exposure. So in other words, I stumbled across the information. If I was to do a specific detailed Google search about it, I'm sure I would probably find more. So cell phone call rerouting, disconnecting your manipulating your phone when you're trying to make a phone call, meaning that you go to make a phone call, they don't want you talking to that particular medical center and or that specific department within it. The victim calls the number and they disconnect the call. And you try 7 fucking times. So then you just go and pick another number that's being presented to you. And by the way, you would not believe what I know about the absolute reported manipulated Google search results. When you go to research something through Google, your phone will endlessly buffer. And then when it finally unbuffers, you're presented with a specific amount of choices. So is the buffering happening because they're buying time in order to literally manipulate the type of search results you get? Which means then, is it possible then you're not seeing specific doctors that you would have normally have seen? Now, I literally got an audio file showing this shit being discussed as the crime of gang stalking is being covered on a national radio show. And when you go to Google and you research about how it was widely reported between 2000 at least 22 and 25 about how Google was manipulating search results for conservatives related to voting. And that's even been discussed in Senate hearings. Oh, absolutely. Okay, so I don't expect you to swallow all this, without you're like right now you've heard this information, but yet you haven't done any searching into this, like research into it. Okay, but just trust me, folks, you would not believe what this crime is capable of doing, because what you need to also understand is that this crime is embedded within practically every single industry that you can fucking think of. No joke. Okay, and if you knew what I know about Google, you'd have no problem with. Oh, absolutely, and I'm not the only one saying it. In fact, the information I got about Google came from extremely credible, numerous sources. Okay, so trust me, you got to understand something, folks. It's like have you ever seen these ant farms? Where these ant farms are like, they look like little mazes. Okay, where ants are being directed to go in certain directions within the mazes because they have no other options. Okay, all right, and even they do the same thing with cattle. When you got a cattle ranch and they want the cows to go into a certain direction, the rancher will create these steel fences that end up looking like mazes, so that when the cattle is steered to go into the maze, the cattle has no other choice but to go through the routes that the fences create. Okay, so that's one way to have a visualization in your mind concerning what these demented bastards are capable of doing. Because if they can, so in other words, at the end of the day, basically what I'm saying is that they're taking you into a bottlenecked direction, because you're because of being bottlenecked, you're not allowed to have the other options. Okay? Because they want you to fucking go where they want you to go, because they already know where they're taking you to can be controlled, manipulated, so that when you go there and you see that doctor is going to give you the predetermined, controlled medical help. Okay? And that includes the sequence of, like, say if you go there and you start talking about your certain symptoms, right? And a lot of the symptoms that you're being intentionally forced to endure come from, let's just say, at least, and there's only one or two other possible sources which would also be connected to the head, but let's say the vast majority of what you're enduring is occurring through the ears, the jaws, the mouth, the nose. Okay? And there's some shit going on too concerning the throat, but a lot of that is more than likely, it's all working together concerning what I just stated: the ear, the nose, the mouth, the jaw, okay, and the eyes, right? And if a lot of what they're doing is occurring through the nerves, by and through them having things implanted in the nerves, Well, then him allowing you to get a referral to a neurosurgeon or a neurologist is going to be a referral that he's going to keep away from you until you get other tests. So they can, so by buying through the claims of, let's see what these other tests, their results produce. So then you're told once you go get the test that you got this and that because of this. So there's no need to send you to a neurologist when it's actually the neurologist that would be able to determine that all the effects you're enduring, or a good portion of them, is a result of what's in the nerves. So in other words, the doctor you should be fucking seeing, they're saying, we'll send you to that type of doctor once we cancel out all these other possibilities. But the other things, that the other type of tests that they're fucking suggesting, is that done so that they can then claim you got this, and you got this because the test results that you went and got is showing us you got this. So we'll take care of these issues because of this thing that you got, that we've determined you got from these types of tests. Okay? And so then they'll turn around and say there's no use for you to go see a neurologist. So do you see what I'm saying? Okay? So they allow you to get an x-ray from the neck down, from the neck down, and in the chest, in the tailbone area. But, so, I'll make another video about this, just trust me. Because you gotta remember, if you're being bottlenecked, intentionally bottlenecked, to this specific doctor, and the crime itself, who's controlling that doctor, already knows what's in you, and then they already know what your body, what your brain and body is enduring as a result of them interfacing with what's in you. They're not going to want to give you the test that's going to help you prove it. They're not going to want you to go to that fucking doctor that would help you see what's in you. They're going to present like other things, like, let's see if you got diabetes. Okay, let's see if you let's give you some tests where when you go there, like if you were to get like certain x-rays, well, from what because I gotta stop talking because I'm enduring a health issue. Okay, so from the limited knowledge that I know about x-rays, CAT scans, and MRIs, when you can go and get an MRI, you can be given a specific type of MRI. Same thing concerning CAT scans, and more than likely the same thing concerning certain X-rays. So you can you can end up getting sent to a third party syndicated controlled environment, organized crime syndicate controlled environment, and or an environment that can and or an environment that, because I gotta say things carefully, that can possibly be controlled by the organized crime syndicate that's doing this to you, that's in federal, state, county, and local law enforcement. Mostly federal, and their control over state, county, local governments, state, county, and local police. That's the fucking Louis. The medical industry involved in this crime is massive. It is fucking massive. It's all over the country. Oh, absolutely. So the point being here is that they can send you to a place to get a CAT scan and or MRI and or X-ray, but the type of I'm just going to use one selected statement that I could incorporate within this type of verbalization, would be where they give you a type of x-ray to where the resolution would not be correct for it being able to capture the type of thing you got in you because of that type of thing that's in you, its size. And the host already knows this. Okay, so in other words, you can be given an x-ray and or a CAT scan and or an MRI test where the radiologist or the people who give you the test and then review the test results, they can say this x-ray is showing something. Is that because that particular type of x-ray has not, the machine has not been calibrated so that it would be able to find that particular type of device concerning at least resolution. And the syndicate fucking knows this because the syndicate is directly connected to the medical industry to begin with. That's the fucking loosely. Okay? So it's basically an organized crime syndicate within the medical health system that is directly, intimately connected to the same organized crime syndicate that's got the law enforcement power, okay, to make sure you get funneled to this doctor who then orders you the specific test to a place that they can that's either already directly connected to the crime and or can be controlled by it by and through the influence that comes from the law enforcement and or through the hierarchy syndicate members within the medical community. In fact, the whole entire places can be run by, you would not believe what I know, folks. If you knew what I know, you'd have no problem believing this whatsoever. This is no exaggeration. Oh, absolutely, you would not believe what I know. Okay, and believe me, what I know comes from massive amounts of exposures, from massive amounts of extremely credible people, including doctors, lawyers, professors, people who have dealt with nonstop corruption through the medical establishments all across the fucking country. Okay, so you got to remember, the host knows what's in you. They know what they're doing to you through what's in you. They know what medical tests would be able to prove what's in you and the effects done to you. So they give you a different type of test, and or they send you to places that would not be able to accurately diagnose that problem, while keeping the other doctors away from you that they're not giving you referrals to, because that type of doctor, if they did, would be able to identify it, and or they're buying time too. So what you got, I could go into a lot more into this, but that's not what this video was originally intended to be about. Okay, plus I gotta go because I'm enduring some health issues right now as I speak, literally. What you gotta understand, folks, is that they're literally intentionally torturing victims into disability, then into death, intentionally, purposely, with total premeditation, with total calculated malice aforethought. Okay, so they can make fucking money off both third-party life insurance policies and the treatment of health maladies that they affect, while they'll intentionally turn around and say you got a health malady for another reason, including genetics. Okay, yeah, any other excuse except for that, the fact that the health injury, okay, and health effect got created through the non-consensual implantation of you, that then turned around and gave you this health effect as a result of these biomedical devices being in you, and the perpetrator's capacity to remotely interface with them in order to induce the health effect. They don't want you to fucking have evidence. Absolutely, because always keep this in mind. They're bottlenecking you to fucking places that they know they can control in the numerous different ways that they fucking are, so you can't get the proof they're in you, so that you can't get the proof what's been done to you through them, while they're not allowing you to, obviously, to get the medical proof that they're in there to begin with. So if they channel you to all these other places to get blood work done, okay, places to get specific types of x-rays done, and then the blood work doesn't show this, but they'll claim it shows that. So then that thing they're claiming it is showing is the supposed reason why you're having these health maladies. Oh, absolutely. I can say a whole lot more about this. You got to understand this is it's controlled criminality to protect what's already been done to you, while they're applying other excuses to and presenting other excuses concerning why you got certain health issues. So in other words, it's fucking nonstop complete control criminality and nonstop misdirection to camouflage what's been done to you, how it's been done to you, and to apply another excuse to it. So if they come back and they say, well, your blood work says you got this, okay, so we'll treat this, so there's no sense in getting you referred to a neurologist. If you were able to go to an uncontrolled neurologist, he should be able to find the myoelectric electrodes in your veins and arteries and in your musculatory system, and the cuff I'm sorry, what I meant to say was he should be able to find the different types of cuff electrodes in your veins and arteries and nerves. He should be able to find the intramuscular electrodes in your musculatory tissue and the myoelectric electrodes in your musculatory tissue. Okay? Absolutely. Okay? At the most, what they might say, only if they can't get around, like if you get a specific x-ray and let's say you got an intramuscular implant in your muscles, just as a preliminary example, in your arm, and you go get an x-ray and a bump shows up and something shows up in the x-ray that is actually the electrode, they'll claim it's a misnomer or a calcification or some type of shadow, which they can then not determine what it is. They might even go as far as claiming you don't really need to get it out because it doesn't appear to be any problems, Or they'll claim if you want to get it out, you can, and then when it's extracted, they'll either steal it, literally, because you don't have legal chain of custody to it yet, or they'll replace it with something else, like an actual cyst or tumor or whatever, fatty tissue taken out from another person, and they'll switch it, literally. I fucking shit you not. You would not believe the testimonies I've seen from the internet. Oh, absolutely. I mean, there's stuff written about this even in books, like The Invisible Crime by Mike Fitzhugh-Bell. Oh, absolutely. Oh, and you should know that fatty tissue will form around implants. Calcifications will form around implants. And if you don't get, from what I understand as of right now, okay, if you don't get the correct type of test concerning the resolution of that test, like when they're doing a CAT scan or at least an x-ray and maybe more than likely also an MRI, then if that machine is not set to a specific calibrated resolution, it's not even going to fucking find it to begin with, or it's going to show up on the test results as being like a shadowy figure, okay, or and even when certain tests, if they can't get around it showing up, they'll just claim it's a fatty tissue that developed around a bone because of your age, okay, or a calcification because calcifications are known to grow around certain areas because of your fucking age. They will apply any given a fucking excuse, but they'll never claim it's a fucking implant. And if you fucking say you want it out, they'll take it out and they'll switch it with something else, or claim it got lost, or claim it got lost in transit to a lab to get studied, okay, and then blame it on the third party like the lab itself. Because how the fuck are you going to know? Absolutely. And then you wouldn't believe what would be done to the target in between on a daily basis. Still continued torture that keeps the brain and or body in extreme detrimental health effects, so that the victim can't even get up and fucking do anything, let alone go to a lab and try and find out what the fuck happened to it. I shit you fucking not. You would, and all this information is coming from vast amounts of research that I've done concerning extremely credible reports and exposures. We're talking about other doctors' exposures, other scientists' exposure. So in closing, go to Google, and you can buy this book through Amazon. Go to Google and research this book's title. One book of hundreds. So its title is Brain, and it's going to sound funny, so just trust me. I'm aware of how it sounds a little bit, but just trust me. This book is written by a world-renowned scientist, and there's massive pictures in it. There's of implants themselves. There's massive microscopy tests of the implants that are also in the book, and there's massive test results concerning the frequency tables that these implants, the frequencies that interacted with the implants, and those frequency tables were, it's basically tabled. You'll understand what I'm talking about when you get the book. The book, I think, is only $23. You can buy it through Amazon. It's a fucking absolute great book, and this is one book of hundreds, by the way, that are written, that you can buy online about the crime of gang stalking. So the book's title is Brain Implants and Messages, Nanomachines and the Ultimate Creation of False Memories. Trust me. Get the book. Now, the author of the book, her name is pronounced Dr. Hildegard Steininger. And her first name is spelled Hildegard or Gard, and then Steininger with an I. Get the fucking book. $23. $23. And you're gonna fucking learn a whole lot. Okay, a whole lot. Brain implants, nasal implants, ear implants, implants put in the chest area, the heart. Okay, you would not fucking believe what this crime is connected to, capable of, and the lengths they go to protect it. The shuffling you around, the doctors, they want you to fucking see while they're keeping the other doctors away from you. And do you want to know some, because I gotta say things carefully. Do you want to know some of the bullshit excuses concerning why you can't see other doctors? A lot of these medical facilities have their dedicated, and their affiliates have dedicated call centers. Hold on a second. The call centers, which are directly either owned by the affiliate and or the medical establishment, the main medical facility that the affiliate is attached to. Now, these call centers, they act like operators, which basically, whereas you call them and you say, I'm looking for a primary care physician, or I'm looking for, as an example, an ear, nose, and throat specialist. And so, what would they possibly do? Well, if they're being controlled by the host, and the host can actually be a member of, or one of the hosts, because there can be more than one host, okay? There can be a host that manages the community-based gang stalking. There can be a host that manages the courts, okay? There can be a host that manages the medical establishment, okay? Absolutely. And all these hosts would work together in a collaborating, conferencing way. Absolutely. Like when one host, if the victim is entrapping doctors and hospitals, they say, well, it's time to set the victim up for an arrest so we can tie the victim up in the judicial process for 6 months or a year, while they're being distracted in their concern their everyday life being intentionally affected by and through the host that's managing the community-based gang stalking. So, in other words, they swallow the victim up in judicial process proceedings while they're being simultaneously swallowed up in the effects that are created from the bullshit they endured through the community-based harassment. And that deflects the victim away from getting the medical help, searching for uncorrupted uncorrupted medical help, or medical help that's harder for them to control. Okay. Oh, acetylcholine. This is think of it like as it being an octopus, where the head is the one or more host. Okay, and the tentacled arms of the octopus is the different collaborating partners. Okay, the police, the courts. Okay, public transportation systems. Okay, buses, trolleys, transportation the victims using to go back and forth to places. The businesses, the libraries, the restaurants, the grocery stores, the gang of gang stalking, in part. So there's many different things these sick ass fucking bastards can affect upon you and your life to end up controlling your health and to intentionally sabotage your schedule every single fucking day. And if your health's being massively sabotaged, then your schedule is. That's the fucking absolutely. You would not believe what I know about this fucking crime. Okay? So the point being, in part, you call the call center. Has the call center already been notified about what help to offer you? Okay, buying through them, as an example. Say if you're calling to get help for as an example, for a neurologist. Okay. Well, actually, that might not be the best example, because the neurologist would be more than likely a referral from your primary care physician. So let's say if you're looking for a primary care physician and they want you to go to the controlled one, okay, or the syndicated one. And if it's a syndicated one, it's a controlled one, right? So if they want you to go to this one and they want to keep the other ones away from you, then what you do then when you call the call center and you say, hey, look, I got this specific type of insurance, and then I got this specific type of insurance that is my secondary insurance. What they'll do then is they'll say all the other doctors for primary care physician, they're not currently taking new patients, but we can send you to this one. Okay? And if you look up primary care physicians on your phone and or computer and try to call them directly, they'll cut you off from the phone call. If you try to call a huge medical establishment, that would then allow you to know where more primary care physicians are, they'll fucking cut off those calls, which means they're literally disconnecting the call. And you try 7 fucking times and you're experiencing the same exact thing each time you call 7 times, where they're literally disconnecting the call before it even starts. Because a lot of times when you call these medical establishments, after the phone rings up a couple times, a recording, you'll be presented with a recording, which will give you a menu of options. Like if you're trying to reach this department, press 1. If you're trying to reach this department, press 2, and so on and so on. And that would allow you to show, by tape recording it, it would allow you to prove that you called this place. You then hit the corresponding button, because when you hit the dial pad, like if you want, like let's say if the recorded let's just call it voicemail. If the recorded voicemail, the recording you end up getting, it says, if you're interested in getting to the Department of